Hi, I'm David Waldron. I graduated from Melbourne University in architecture decades ago in 1986, I think. I've practiced in heritage architecture, major commercial architecture. I moved into development and construction and now head up design in a major retail REIT. And my interests are in enabling architects and professional design consultants to perform at their best inside design contracts.
Hello, my name's Angela Rowenfeld. I've been an architect for over 30 years. I have worked in heritage architecture and health and aged care, retirement living. I have a special interest in building outcomes for people with disabilities, and I am the current chair of the AS 1428 standards for accessibility outcomes into the built environment. I currently work for a not-for-profit in the property area and maintain my interest in historic buildings and buildings that have a social benefit to society. The Montsalvat Artists Community, which is the oldest continuous artists colony in Australia, was founded in Eltham in 1934 by Melbourne artist Justus Jorgensen. The complex of buildings on the site have been identified as being in the French provincial Gothic style, with exposed materials and steep roofs. The buildings were designed by Jorgensen and were constructed between 1935 and 1971. The building materials for the site have been reported to have been sourced from a variety of locations and include mud bricks, presumably from the local area or site, exposed brick and stone, half and exposed timbering, and Victoria-era building materials which were sourced and recycled from buildings being demolished in and around the centre of Melbourne. The buildings were built by the artist residents who lived on the site, and their skills in stained glass and ironwork are also evident in the buildings. The use of mud bricks at Montsalvat influenced their use for domestic dwellings in the local Eltham and surrounding areas. Coincidentally, the 44 public housing towers built on 28 sites across 19 suburbs in inner Melbourne in the 1960s replaced the demolished Victorian-era dwellings used as a source of materials for Montsalvat. The housing towers have been identified as being in the internationalist modern architecture style. Typical of the style, the design of the 20 to 30 storey towers was rectilinear in form with no decorative features. Each floor was identical to the one above and below, with generous, regularly spaced windows and glazing. Modern industrial materials such as precast textured panels were utilised, and the location of each floor slab was prominently emphasised and contributed to the overall aesthetic of the regular, repeated vertical and horizontal pattern of the design.
In Melbourne, new residential architecture has taken many forms and many expressions. There are examples like Eureka Tower, which are very well known on the skyline of Melbourne, deriving from the idea of a surveyor's pole for measuring perhaps when Melbourne was set out post-contact. More recently, architecture has explored the idea of sun shading and sustainability, improved performance through various means, including in this example perforated metal panels on the facade of the building, given expression and colour and movement to the biomedical precinct of the Peter MacCallum Hospital. Geelong Performing Arts Centre, shown in this illustration, is an example of a building assembled from many styles rather than one style. It's a building that celebrates its place very much in Geelong through references to the local Indigenous culture and the way post-contact Australians have related to Indigenous culture. It's also not one building but many buildings as an assembly of place. The architecture itself is an expression of the nature of the building performance, the revealing of a set, the idea of the circus and celebration and performance.